What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some DD2. I played around a little bit on stream yesterday, and I wanted to do a little bit more of a controlled test between a crit damage build and a defense power build on the Lightning Strike aura. Now, this is a defense that's very easy to compare. As most people already know who have played around with it, defense power just definitely seems to rule the roost right now. And although the game was heavily based on crit just several updates ago, now those crit-focused builds on your defenses are really just a lot tougher to get any real effectiveness out of compared to what you can get with a defense power build. Now for this particular test, I'm going with Critical Servo for increased crit chance, the Melee Boom Servo, and then the crit damage servo. Now, trying this without Melee Boom, it is just not even close to being a comparison, so I did put Melee Boom in there just to give it some sort of AoE damage and give it kind of a fighting chance, so to speak, against the defense power setup. Now, as far as shards go, I'm using a Gilded Defense Rate, a Gilded Defense Crit Damage, and a Gilded Power Transfer. Now, all in all, this is going to get this defense up to 91% crit chance. I could get it over 100% if I got rid of that defense rate shard. However, you just lose too much and it's not worth getting that extra, 8.6 points or 8.56 points to get it up to 100%. And even at 91% crit, you're not going to see it not crit very often. Now, as you see here, we're putting out 1.3 million damage per second. Of course, it's critting every single time, and it hits once a second, so it's doing 1.3 mil DPS. Now, when we take a look at a defense power setup with Melee Boom, Anti-Melee, and Anti-Chaos, this is my normal Lightning Strike aura setup. It's designed specifically for killing Lady Orcs and assassins. You know, it's all about the Lady Orcs and assassins. I do have the Melee Boom on there just so it gives it a little bit of AoE damage. And for shards, I'm going with defense rate and destruction. Now, I don't have a third shard in here, and here's the reason. The third shard that I would normally use is Deadly Strikes and defense range. However, it is practically impossible for me to get a fair test between the two defenses with the defense power lightning aura being so much larger than the other one. Of course, this is instantly nerfing this one. However, I just kind of have a feeling that this particular build with defense power is still going to win over the full crit setup. Now, this particular build, as we look, of course, we're starting right off with some crits, 3 crits in a row, so it's actually higher right now, but that was from pure luck from all the crits. And we're normally going to average between 1 million and 1.3 million damage per second. As you see the numbers rolling off here, I would have to crit 3 times in a row to get the 1.6 mil damage per second. However, it can go up to that. Now, it's got more potential as far as getting strings of lucky crits. However, its average is going to be a little bit lower. And it's actually, if you looked at it on average over like the course of a full minute, it's going to be, 20,000, 30,000 DPS lower than the crit build setup is going to. Now, remember, with both of these setups, it's not counting Melee Boom, as no melee is blowing up on these target dummies, so we're not getting really a truly fair test. In addition to that, on the target dummies, we're not getting the benefit from the Anti-Melee Servo or the Anti-Chaos Servo. So let's go ahead and dive right on into a map to give these two an honest comparison between the two. Now, once again, the reason I pulled Deadly Strikes out of there and didn't go with a third shard is because now 1625 range, 1625 range. They both got the same range, and it's very easy for me to do a fair test. Of course, I could throw Vampiric Empowerment in that third shard slot and jack the damage up of that defense power tower even more. However, like I said, I would normally use Deadly Strikes in it, and I wanted to get a fair DPS comparison as far as damage done on a map in Chaos 7. So let's go ahead and head on into Crumbled Bulwark and get this set up for a little experiment. Alright, and here we are in the Bulwark. Let's just go ahead and get some of the basic defenses set up first. I'm going to kind of do my controlled test down in that lower lane, as that lower lane is just really easy to control the mobs. So let me set this top up with just some overkill that I won't really have to manage, as it will just run itself up here. So let's go something like that. Throw a little more overkill in there. A little more in there. That leaves me 360 left. Let's just get even more overkill here. And then we'll hop down to this low lane for our actual test. Alright, so gonna try to space these two Lightning Strike auras pretty evenly from this spawn. We look at the distance there. Pretty close. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get that one about the same. Let's see, I'm gonna need to go where... Let's check it out there. It's close there, however this one just seems slightly closer, so I'm going to go just a little bit further forward. Let's try it there. Now it seems the other way around. No happy medium. Like I said, I want to get as close to a fair comparison here as I can. That one gives the crit side a little bit more of an edge than the other side. However, that is pretty close, so I think I'm going to leave it. And then just to make sure I don't run into any unpleasant situations back here, let's just go ahead and spam some auras around. Just for anything that makes it past all of my defenses. Alright, let's go ahead and get it started. Now I'm going to make sure to upgrade these evenly throughout. As we see the defense power set up, tooltip DPS is 1.07 million. Of course we know that's not accurate. And then on the crit damage setup, tooltip DPS is 656,000. Once again, completely inaccurate. It's actually not including crit at all. So it completely fluxes the entire tooltip damage number. So let's just let these fly here. I've got the melee boom on both of them. Of course, we do have the anti-melee going and the anti-chaos on the defense power setup as well. And I'm going to do my best, although it is tempting, not to do any DPS to these mobs coming through these two defenses until they make it all the way through. Alright, so here we are at the end of Wave 1. We see the defense power setup has done 145 million damage. The crit build has done 131 million. So they're actually relatively close to each other. Now remember, the defense power one, even though it is winning the race here, it's also nerfed because it doesn't have its range shard in the mix. So let's go ahead and check it through the end of Wave 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and upgrade them. I'll upgrade them evenly throughout the breaks as I go. Or you know what? I've got enough just to take them all the way up. Let's just do that. Let's take them to the roof. And we'll let this go and check the status at the end of Wave 2 and the rest of the waves. Alright, and here we are at the end of Wave 2. We see the defense power setup has done 425 million in total damage now. And the crit setup has done 343 million. So the defense power setup has really pulled ahead. And I'm not sure, maybe those upgrades were a little overkill, so I tell you what, just to keep the comparison fair, I'm going to go ahead and sell these again and replace them and just keep them at Tier 1. We see at Tier 2 how much the defense power setup just screams past the crit setup. Let's check it out, keeping them both at Tier 1. It actually seems like the defense power one might be slightly further forward, but they're pretty darn close to the entrance right there. So let's go ahead and reset them back to Tier 1 and see how they do through these later waves. Alright, and here we are now at the end of Wave 3. We see at Tier 1, 104 million on the defense power aura, 58 million on the crit aura. So the defense power aura, even at tier 1, is still just getting it done. Let's just go ahead and jump all the way to the end of the map now, and I'll let them run just right there at tier 1 and see how they end up. And here we are at the end of the map. We see the defense power setup from the point of replacing it did an additional 388 million damage, and the crit setup did an additional 208 million. So the defense power setup, even though I'm running 1 shard less, it did considerably more damage than the crit setup, and that was rolling out at 91% chance to crit at 101% crit damage. So I really focused on getting the crit damage maximized the best I could on this defense, and defense power still came out on top. So defense crit was definitely smacked down a bit with this update that changed defense crit and defense power, and I would definitely not suggest going with a crit build on your lightning strike auras. Although you can make it work and you can win some maps, it's not going to be the most effective source of damage for that particular tower. So thank you very much for watching. If you'd like me to do a comparison similar to this with any other defenses in the game, by all means let me know down in the comments below. If enough people vote it up, by all means I'll make it happen. But thank you very much for watching. Click that like button, please subscribe to the channel, and I will be back soon with more Dungeon Defenders 2. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.